All right. Let's go and get rid of these show notes here. And everyone, welcome to episode 5 of the Second Main Phase podcast.
We're back!
We did it with 5!
Woo!
All right, and we have someone very special with us. Daniel, who's with us today?
We got the judge. We have the epitome
Ooh.
of class. We have
No.
the sultan of judging.
Oh.
We've got the man, the myth, the legend, Andy!
Judge,
Judge!
What do I need to make a ruling on now?
you got to tell me and everyone listening and watching a little bit about yourself.
All right, so my name's Andy. I've been a judge at Jade Tiger for actually, I've been at Jade Tiger for almost a year now, but we're getting to like probably month 8 of judging there.
Okay. Because
So
you kind of came with the store, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, really.
You
I mean,
came with it like you
Yeah,
were
he was just
there.
built in there. Yeah, they were like, hey, we're going to have the store, and they show up and
The
Andy's just
built-in
in
judge.
there. Yeah.
So I've been playing Magic for quite a while. I started probably when I was 6, back all the way in 2002 in the
and
Onslaught set.
If anyone ever doubts someone being like, yeah, I started playing Magic when I was 6, it's like, no, you didn't. If you ever just sat down for 5 minutes and talked to Andy, I would have believed 4.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can tell you I actually still have the original pre-con deck that I started with.
Okay.
My brother and I both got the same pre-con deck. It was a red-green. This is back in the day. So Vigilance wasn't a mechanic yet.
Wow.
Reach wasn't a mechanic yet.
What's that like? You know?
Oh, no.
Hexproof wasn't a mechanic. Shroud wasn't a
Wait,
mechanic.
didn't
Lifelink wasn't a mechanic.
Didn't Vigilance come with Sarah Angel, though?
It had this
Just fly.
attacking does not cause
okay.
this creature to tap.
I'm picking up what you're laying down. They didn't have a word for it yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
This was before the keywords for those things. So, like, something having trample was huge.
Yeah.
And you never saw anything with more than one ability like that.
Okay. Well, that's
Like,
cool.
as a 6-year-old, like, I mean, were you able to pick up, like, the intricacies of the game? Like, you were one of those kids? Like
No,
genius
not
kid?
really. So, we played... There were a lot of things we did not play right.
Oh, okay. So you were just kind of having fun with it.
Yeah, we eventually got a bit more into it later. The first deck I actually built myself was in the Return to Ravnica set.
Yeah.
So the second Ravnica sets.
Okay. Yeah, see, like, my stepdaughter, Reagan, she's 6. She plays. Andy's judged a couple of her games. She's getting there. You know, she can at least read the card.
Right.
You know, and she knows how to tap and everything. But, Andy, so tell us about Magic. What got you into it? Favorite card, color, all that stuff.
So the reason I got into it first was, we hung out at the game store. This was over at All About Games in Beckley.
That is where I spent the majority of my childhood. Our paths definitely probably crossed.
Yep, probably.
Yes, definitely.
Same
So-
for me. I mean, that was my first game shop, too, when
Yeah.
I was 12 years old.
My dad kind of helped Dave Whalen, the comic book store owner, a lot, and so we were just over there.
See, I was there whenever Alan was over it. Alan and his wife. I can't remember her name.
Kathy.
Kathy.
I remember
that's-
Alan's name
that's
because
where
he had a
we
strong
Yeah,
mask.
we were there. So my dad helped out Dave over at Lost Legion right next door, but it was basically
This was just a comic book shop,
yeah.
right?
That was back before Lost Legion ended up buying All About Games.
Yeah.
So with him over there, we just hung out in All About Games because they were connected in the back. We were homeschooled, so we did our schoolwork at the game store, and then when we were done, as a reward, we got to play
What
Magic.
a life, dude.
Dude, that's awesome. How did you get any homework done?
Well, that was the part, man. You finish it quick.
We
that
we
was
couldn't
incentive.
play until we finished it.
Yeah.
Wow. What an incentive.
That's our parents did a lot of that incentive-based things. Like we learned to spell because if you spelled it correctly, if you managed to make it across the room taking a step, if you spelled it correctly, you got a cookie. So when you're 5,
Parents are awesome.
Yeah, dude,
that
your parents are cool,
incentive
man.
is a
Can I come hang out
huge
with you?
thing.
Can I come stay at your house for a little while?
Daniel just needs a time machine. He wants to be raised now.
I just want to be a kid again.
So, we did talk about it a little bit, so I would have it ready. Andy, what's your favorite card?
My favorite card is a blue card called Time Stop. It is an instant, 2 blue, 4 colorless. It immediately ends the turn. Exiles everything on the stack. Whoever's turn it is discards down to maximum hand size. Damage wears off, and it just resets to the next turn.
So this could be played in modern, right? This would.
Yeah, it came out in 10.
This is
Yeah.
Modern
Yeah.
Eagle.
So why
Kamigawa and 10th edition.
could this see play? Do you think potentially?
Maybe. The problem is it's expensive.
Yeah.
But you can use it on an opponent's untap step and skip their whole turn.
It's legal in everything, by the way, Daniel. So
Okay.
you know.
Yeah. So it doesn't see play just because it's expensive. It's easy.
Yeah.
It's going to be easy to counter, but it does have that potential against an opponent. Like if, let's say, you're playing Hogak. You can't play stuff at instant speed with Hogak.
Who would ever play Hogak?
No.
But
That's
this
like the
can
worst
go,
part.
all right, I go to my turn, I'm getting ready to attack, I've got everything I need, I've played my instance, I've buffed everything, I end the turn.
And that may be the winner for like most text that doesn't have anything to do. Like, okay, so there's cards with like a lot of like flavor text, but that's not like
That's not flavor text. No.
Yeah, but like Andy said, the card is literally 3 words, really, at its core, and it is end the turn, period.
I mean, the audacity.
Yeah.
Who do they think they are? So, what is your favorite color in Magic then, and why?
Blue, by far.
Okay.
Because there's just so much you can do with it. You can go mono blue tempo and try and play an aggro style deck. You can play a control deck. You can play a bunch of cantrips. You can play counter spells. You can play bigger discard type cards like
Blue is so versatile.
Oh yeah,
It really is.
because you've got buffs. You've even got buff spells.
Yeah. My favorite blue buff spell, Unstable Mutation. It's 1 blue mana, gives a creature +3/+3, and every turn it gets -1/-1 counter on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
I love that card.
But then you have, of course, at 2020, you've got Zephyr's Charge.
Mhm.
The ability to just give any number of creatures you have flying for 2 mana each.
Yep.
That's a cool card.
So, what's your favorite format?
Definitely draft. I love playing draft.
Why? No one has said draft yet. that
It's
we've talked
because making the deck on the fly.
to. Okay.
So there's just so many different combinations you'll see. When you crack that first deck, you're just like, or that first pack, you're like, all right, I could play this, but then I'm going to have to get these cards. I've got this. Do I just pull the rare out and hope I get stuff to feed it?
Okay. So,
Or you may have a dead rare.
as a judge, how hard is it to get us klutzes all together to know how to pass left and right? And when someone ends up with 3 extra cards and someone doesn't have a card,
That's never the left-right problem.
it's user error
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
that point.
But I mean, it happens.
Yep.
At a bigger tournament, that would be a problem. But Friday Night Magics are. I'll go into a bit of judge stuff here.
Yeah.
There's different rules enforcement levels. That's a casual rules enforcement. It's more about learning than actual competitive.
Gotcha.
Then you've got competitive rules enforcements, which are going to be bigger tournaments, but not quite up there to a Grand Prix level.
Yeah, like you were telling me some stuff before, and even Daniel. Like, you're not allowed to have your cards face up at any point. You can't even it's like Fight Club. You
Yeah.
don't talk about it, and then you don't talk about it.
While you're drafting, you cannot give any information about any of the cards you've taken.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's like evident. I mean, a person that's good at draft, I feel like their skill level is a lot higher. Like, because I mean, to truly be able to,
Make something out of nothing.
make something out of nothing and show up to the card shop with some sleeves and like, all right, let's see what happens. And then, I mean, you are very successful in that format. I mean,
Andy is, yeah.
yeah. So
But I mean, that's the fun of it, is you never know what decks you're gonna play. So
I'm with
I've
you.
played my first draft. My first actual draft was a Battle for Zendikar draft, where I ended up drafting allies and just had the synergy there. I did a Dominaria draft at the shop where my win condition was historic spells triggering mill.
So what I say is the last draft we had. Did you play against Andy?
I did not.
Okay, I did. I swear Andy got every card he ever needed. He had the elemental synergy, and the only reason I beat him was because he got flooded by the end.
It happens, though. I mean, that's draft. You
Yeah.
never know what's going to happen.
No,
you
but
can have the strongest deck going into a game.
As it was happening, though, it's one of those, you gotta be kidding me. Like,
You sure your favorite color's not red? I feel like every time I play you or see you playing, you're in red, white, red, black, red.
Well, see, my favorite color to play is blue, but in draft, blue can be really hard to make work.
yeah.
Like, Izzet is probably my favorite deck archetype, but that doesn't work in draft.
right.
Because you have to get so many pieces together for it. But red aggro, that's so
Yeah.
easy to do in draft, and it works.
Yeah, it works a lot of the time.
So
for
you
sure.
prefer draft or sealed?
Draft, without a doubt.
Okay.
Because with sealed, with draft you get to get into the whole, all right, I'm seeing a lot of these gone, so people are playing this.
Right.
So if I still have the ability, I can go into these colors because they're plentiful, or I can start hate drafting what the colors I know people are going to be taking.
Yeah, so sealed feels a little helpless sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I mean, what was the card that got pulled? He pulled a foil of it. The god. Kefnet?
Yeah, Kefnet.
Oketra.
So it's like I mean, you're still a skill base because I mean you're still playing the game, but like I mean, at the end of the day, it's just what you're getting.
Yeah.
I mean, you're at the mercy of that, and I mean you still have to do the deck building, but I mean,
If someone got 6 really good sealed packs, I mean,
and I mean
Yeah.
just looking back to War of the Spark, I mean there were straight bomb rares and
Yeah.
mythics. Like if you got
Even
that,
uncommons though.
I mean
Look
you were
at
just
somebody
gonna
like
win.
Davriel.
oh,
Davriel was an
My dude.
incredible card in draft, and
Oh,
he was
Davriel.
only an uncommon.
yep.
Stop stealing my friend, Andy. You're a man after his own heart. Jeez.
Okay, so
Well, I mean, he knows my modern deck.
I do know his modern deck. He's got that infinite mill,
Okay.
like turn 2.
Yeah, it can go off turn 3, turn 4.
I just feel so scorned right now. You're just competing for his heart.
Yeah. Don't worry, it's always with you, Daniel.
Oh.
So what about judging? Why do you like it?
So, normally if you play Friday Night Magic, you're going to play 3, maybe 4 matches. I play every single match. Because I'm walking around, I'm looking at what people have in hand, I'm looking at board states, I'm thinking, all right, this is what I do, knowing the board information you see. And you get to basically play all these different games at the same time.
You almost like you like judging more than you do playing most of the time, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean,
Because it is actually a lot of fun from my perspective, because you get to see how things play out. I get to see everybody's stats. I'm like, all right, you're playing I know which decks you have, so this is what I think is going to happen. And then I watch the game, and sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
I mean, if it were me, I would just like be watching people play, and I'd be like, I want to play. I don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like,
Back up, scrub.
I mean, that does happen every so often, which is why I occasionally play. But it is actually quite a lot of fun to judge.
That's awesome. So I guess when it comes to judging, I mean, what's been the hardest ruling or judging that you have to do? What gets sticky sometimes?
A lot of what can happen is when somebody misses a trigger that actually will affect board state. So you forget to reveal something, or there's a trigger that you would sack something and then you block with it later. So normally what happens is when, like, if I were to forget to reveal something, if the game state hasn't changed significantly, all I do is reveal it. Done.
Yeah.
Same thing happens if you misplay in any form. But once things have progressed a little bit, like let's say I board wipe. 2 turns later, we realize I couldn't have board wiped either because I tapped my mana wrong, or the spell couldn't have been played when it was. Well, a few turns later, you can't really back up because we've played things. We've revealed stuff from our hand for various reasons, whether it's casting a spell or just revealing our hand for, say, duress.
Right.
So there have been a few circumstances like that. Mainly what I have to deal with is, hey, I don't understand this. Can I play this way?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we had that come up a lot in Two-Headed Giant.
Yeah.
So
Two-Headed Giant, because it's not that common of a format, you get a lot of those rulings.
Yeah.
Like with the new set, with Brawl being a big component of it, I have a feeling better be having to do a lot of commander type
Okay,
rulings.
well, hey, save that thought because we're actually moving now to our draw step. So what's new? What do we got?
we got a new set coming out.
Is there too much magic? Nah.
There's never too much.
No,
Okay.
We've crossed this bridge before.
we got plenty of time as well.
Yeah, when is this set scheduled for release here? What do we got?
October.
Okay, and what do we have? What's the set?
Throne of Eldraine.
Andy. He's also a lore nut. So have we ever heard of Eldraine before?
No, so this is going to be a completely new plane for us.
Okay, and from what we can tell, the themes that are going on, we have what? Grim Fairy Tale meets
Camelot.
yeah.
Where
It's
the knights
crazy.
So what I have a feeling is what we're going to see is we're going to see 2 distinct flavors of cards. One flavor is going to be all the fairy tales.
Right.
So Rapunzel, Red Riding Hood, all of the European folk tales that Disney has usually made into movies.
So for those watching on Twitch or on YouTube, we do have some of the art pulled up. Granted, this is Google imaging, so some of it is it's added.
Copyrighted.
No, it's yeah. I mean, smiley face aside, there we got a gingerbread man running out. I thought this Seb McKinnon artwork is just.
I need a full art poster of this, and I need it now.
I need a
I
playmat
have
of
a
that.
feeling this is going to be a playmat.
Yeah, look, the pillars of magic in the back, making the symbol like it's.
The Planeswalker symbol. Yep.
I absolutely adore the artwork. Daniel, you were talking about it earlier, the Goldilocks and the Three Bears type artwork and
This
everything.
set is like metal. Like, I mean, this is
Yeah.
like. Dang.
Well, it's almost so the Grimm fairy tales are much different than you think they are.
Yeah.
When you read the original source material, they're a much darker set of fairy tales.
Not for the kiddies.
No,
Yeah.
Not at all.
So,
But does it fit Magic the Gathering?
Oh, absolutely.
but it seems like they're doing a bit of a different direction on that. Like with that Goldilocks artwork, that is not how the original Grimm fairy tale went when it was not very kid friendly.
Yeah. Yeah, she
but
slayed
it's
Mama Bear,
still-
Papa Bear, and Baby Bear.
It is still a not very kid friendly type thing.
So I feel like this is a good thing for Magic because I feel like we need to get back to this because I think a lot of the interest in Magic was the artwork of just how like intense and just how dark some of this stuff was, and I feel like we've kind of strayed into this cartoony just
Yeah,
and
I
it's
agree.
like I don't enjoy a lot of the art.
like
Look
you
at,
said.
say the New Phyrexia art.
Oh my gosh!
Because that was the backdrop of that was the plain wide
Man,
war.
Phyrexian Obliterator.
I mean that's like stuff in your nightmares.
I know, and that's what I want to see.
Absolutely.
I want to feel. I know we're all just playing with cardboard, and we even have a podcast about cardboard. But I want to play with metal cardboard. You know.
Yeah, I mean, you want to see something that just is. I mean, it needs to invoke some type of emotion because that's what art should do. If you look at a piece of artwork and it doesn't do anything for you, I mean, it's not good. And a lot of, I mean, even if it's like on a bad card, it's like we just look back at the last set with the Seb McKinnon. Like one of those uncommons is just meh, and it's like I still like looking at that artwork.
Yeah.
I think it's unholy servitude or not.
Unholy Indenture.
Indenture, like
Yeah.
it's where the thing dies and it returns with a +1/+1.
Yeah.
It's okay, but
Actually,
It's good draft.
it's really good. Put it on an
Yeah,
opponent's
you
creature,
put on your opponent's creature and kill it.
and then
do
you
it.
get their creature
yeah,
with a +1/+1 counter on it. So I mean,
I haven't had much success with it, so I'm gonna rag it.
a lot of people though didn't realize that you could place that on an opponent's creature.
Yeah, so you kill it and then it pops over to you.
Yeah.
Can you use an opponent's creature's mana ability and pay for that mana?
Like
So say a creature has a mana ability of a one colorless, one red for some type of ability. Can you pay for it to trigger for you?
so it will trigger for the controller of the card.
Gotcha.
But you have to be able to pay the mana to
Yeah.
do it.
So like if it makes them discard 2 cards and draw
Okay.
2 cards.
Some will say any player can pay this cost. Some won't.
Right.
So, for example, let's say Fire Breathing on a card.
Bring up the new Pyromancer. So there's this new.
What's his name?
I keep saying seasoned Pyromancer.
He's the Pyromancer from
Modern Horizons.
Burning Prophet? No, Burning Prophet's 2020.
Anyway, I was watching some of the Mythic stuff today, and I'm pretty sure one of the it's seasoned Pyromancer.
Yeah.
So one of the opponents paid the 3 colorless, 2 red for while that creature was on the battlefield. I didn't know.
It shouldn't be able to do
can't.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe
so-
I misheard or something.
That one specifically says exile season Pyromancer from your graveyard. So you must have the
your
card
grave-
in your graveyard
Yeah. Okay.
in order for that ability to trigger.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just curious about that because, I mean, you don't actually control that thing on your side of the battlefield, so, I mean, you shouldn't be able to activate its mana abilities.
Right. So that's where if it says any player can activate this, anybody can do it.
Yeah.
So, for example, Nullhide Ferox.
Okay.
Yeah, the opponent can
Hexproof.
absolutely
Yeah,
activate
the
Yeah,
that.
they pay 2.
And it says that
Does
any
it- does
player
it-
may play this ability.
Okay, it says any player.
Yes.
All right. So one thing I did want to talk about is we don't really have a lot for spoilers for these cards yet.
Well, it's early.
Yeah. They've shelled out artwork, and then they've even given us this, which is a storybook type ability.
Well, isn't there
Yes.
some type of, like, con or some type of event coming up? Because, I mean, for War of the Spark, they had that big event where they were, like, they showed lots of cards up on that big screen. What was that event?
It was a mythic. It was like the arena qualifier thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe we'll get something like this weekend?
I think we'll get something this weekend for the
Okay.
Mythic Championship.
They'll probably reveal more about, especially like how. So, with these 2 cards, one of them is one of the new special storybook cards,
Right.
where they have a much more detailed card.
Mhm.
And those can only be found in the new boosters. Am I correct?
I
with that?
believe so. I think you might have a small chance of getting them in a normal booster,
Okay.
sort of like getting a foil.
Okay. Because like in the is it Omnicat or what was the one where they redid what's the 3 mana in the control deck? Oh my gosh, Cryptic Command. So
Amonkhet redid, or
Amonkhet.
it did Supreme Will.
Okay, so like, was that a card? So how were you able to pull that card? Like, was that in the packs?
Supreme Will, I believe, was in the packs. I didn't really play in Amonkhet.
Okay.
I came in on the tail end of it when I got back into it recently.
Well,
So
what I was just saying is, I mean, this kind of segues into this into our next section here. It's like, I mean, they're coming out with a whole new booster pack set.
Yeah. So, Magic the financing. What do you think?
My first reaction was, are they trying to get more money out of us? Like, I mean, how much is this?
Okay.
$20, $25?
So, can you tell us what the booster packs are that we have?
Okay, so we got a 15 card booster pack. This is your draft limited event pack, and then we've got a rehashing of these themed booster packs, which I believe that we had in War of the Spark.
Yeah.
And then we've got this new thing, which is
What is this?
So this is like
The collector booster.
So honestly, like looking at this objectively, like I didn't buy any 2020 sealed product. The only sealed product I've gotten was from limited events.
Yeah.
This I feel like is tailored towards the more hardcore and like the people that are trying to build competitive standard decks or whatever. Because I mean,
Right here's what you need to read, man.
yeah, I mean they're trying to add this increased value. You're getting lots of foils. You're guaranteed a foil rare or mythic, I believe.
Ooh, that's so. It's $20 to $25 is the expected price point for one booster pack.
Well, I mean, it's high, but I mean, are they gonna? So they're including one of them into a booster box. So not only will you get the buy box promo, but you'll also receive one
Right.
of these, which I think is great from the financials perspective. You wet the whistle of the buyer, and you're like, oh my gosh, look at this thing! It's full of
Yeah.
rare. It's full of foils.
Will this one thing
And-
increase the price of the booster box though?
I don't know, because for the Ultimate Masters with the box topper, I mean, a lot of times that thing like saved you for
Yeah.
your box.
Yeah.
Andy, what do you think?
I don't know.
Mhm.
So they could keep it the same
Right.
and just have this in there as an additional incentive to buy the card, to buy the box. These packs, though, they do have the chance to get extended art cards,
Yeah.
which, if you're somebody who is serious into it and wants...
Oh, always extended art. That sells anything.
Yeah. Look at Full Art Lands.
Oh, dude, people go crazy
Yeah,
with full art
people-
lands. They just
people
added
love full art
they
lands.
just added full art lands back to Arena,
Yeah.
and you know that's a huge deal. Even though it was in there
Look at
before
this-
the beta.
Look
And
at the
the-
snow-covered lands
Yeah.
for Horizons.
People just play them now just because.
Yeah.
Like the gyms, like the amount of money you have to spend to even get those is like, I mean,
Yeah.
this is
So hey,
insane.
before you got to the house today, I was just talking to Andy. Andy, do you play Magic the Gathering Arena?
No, I do not.
Wow. How do you like control yourself? Like,
It's... I'm never going to be able to hold it.
I got you. That's kind of what D was saying in the last episode. He was kind of salty about, because I mean he
He
had
used to play online.
Yeah, he like acquired a pretty decent collection, and he just kind of turned away from it because I mean he's got nothing tangible. He's got nothing to resell. I mean,
I get it.
yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I get it. But what we do have is we only have 2 spoilers right now.
Yeah, and they look like commander cards.
Yeah, well, one even says Command Zone or Commander's Caller Identity.
Yeah, which means you won't really be able to play it. You can't play it if you're not playing
It's
a
not
brawler.
standard.
Yeah. So what
play.
happens if you get this in draft? I mean, I guess
I'm
you
willing
just,
to bet you won't.
really.
So, have said that they are going to have Brawl decks.
Okay, so what is Brawl decks? I do have that up here. The new era of Brawl.
So, Brawl is similar to Commander. It's a singleton format. You
Okay.
have a designated Commander card.
Is there a command zone as well?
Yes.
And then
It plays the exact same. The
Okay.
only difference is in the deck build. So rather than having 99 cards in a Commander, you have 59 cards in a Commander, and all cards must be standard legal. So it
That's
is essentially
weird.
a
A
standard,
standard
commander with a 60-card deck.
Standard Commander, dude.
Yep.
Man,
That's what we should name the podcast.
That sells itself.
I know.
So I have a feeling that artifact that we had there that gives you a mana of your commander's color identity is going to be in those pre-constructed Brawl decks.
Okay.
And that's like a commander. I mean, that's like kind of bread and butter commander, right? Like a
Yeah,
stone,
command
like
tower,
a mana rock. I believe that's
yeah.
what Gavin called it.
Yes.
On
So-
our first name basis, man.
So that's anything like your Solisna Signants, your Izzet Signants, your Moxes. Arcane Signet is the name of this card. So they've done things before where certain cards are only available in the pre-con decks for a given set. So I have a feeling that's what's going to happen.
So, Andy, who's this guy?
So Chulain, the Teller of Tales, he's the only creature we have.
Is he-
Obviously, you look at him, you immediately think we've got a commander.
Is
It's
he
3
is
colors.
he new?
Yes.
Okay.
So in terms of the lore of the set, since I'm the lore nut here,
Yep.
I have a feeling that he's more of one of those characters that you step back,
Yeah.
and he's the one basically bringing things into this world because he's telling the tale. So since the set being based on Grimm fairy tales, you have someone who's got
Got
the
the
Brothers
answer.
Grimm
Yeah.
book.
Interesting.
That's
My
cool.
brain did not go there at
No,
all.
mine didn't either. That's why we got Andy.
Yeah.
Well,
Glad to
and
have you here.
let's look at his abilities. So he's got vigilance. Okay, that's the game abilities. But whenever you cast a creature spell, so whenever you bring something into the story of the game, you get
Man.
to draw a card.
Andy, keep talking.
Yeah, I'm liking
So-
Yeah,
this.
Andy, just keep talking.
I'm gonna get
You
some
draw a
popcorn.
card, which is you now get to start adding more things into the story because you've just introduced a character. Then you may also put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. So you now have a backdrop for that creature you just played.
Andy,
In my mind,
Oh,
my mind was just like, how can I just abuse this card to make myself just more of a
I
dirtbag?
know.
Andy's mind is it weaves a tale. It tells us a story. I'm like, I'm a piece of crap.
yeah. So
dude.
Andy's playing it. He's like, now I dropped this planes. As you can tell, it's a sunset.
Dude, I want to be like that.
All right, and then his final ability is you can pay 3 and tap and return a creature you control to its owner's hand. So first off, from game point of view, for you,
A dirtbags like us.
Yeah.
it lets you trigger his first ability again.
Yes.
So that gives you more card draw, more land. So
Yes.
let's say you're playing one of these recent decks with something called Arisen Reef.
Oh,
Oh.
yuck.
You now have the draw card land from him and the draw card, and then either put it onto the field
Yeah.
if it's a land or go to hand from the Risen Reef itself.
Okay.
And he could come down on turn 4 because you're going to get that extra land from the reef, right? Potentially.
Yes.
Oh, that's dirty.
Or he's
That is dirty, isn't it?
He's got the green color identity, so you could also be playing Llanowar Elves,
Yeah.
Incubation Druids, Paradise Druids, any kind of mana fixing.
Okay. What do you hope to see from this set? Because they did announce that they are going back to the 3 Planeswalker per set. And who is she?
I don't really know. They are releasing an ebook that's going to kind of set the scene for this.
Mhm.
Where does that come out? Like, how are you getting I mean, where does one find this kind of stuff?
I don't know. I haven't looked into the Magic novels that much.
Okay.
I know that this will be replacing the episodic kind of story bits that they did for previous sets like Ixalan and Amonkhet.
Mm-hmm. So, like, I mean, I've Googled, like, Magic history or, like, you know, how you know, I want the story in so many words. Like, there is no abbreviated... That doesn't exist. I mean, there's some YouTube videos, but it's so convoluted that it's very difficult to follow, and I kind of lose interest.
Well, that's because a lot of these sets aren't actually connected very well. It wasn't until the introduction of Planeswalkers that you actually had some kind of tie between sets, and
Right.
even then it wasn't too big.
Yeah.
Recently, with Amonkhet and Ixalan and Kaladesh and the Gatewatch arc, you've had some kind of linking together because the Planeswalkers are doing their own things.
Right.
But before that, you didn't have that kind of...
So you think that's what Wizards' intention was for the Planeswalker, was to tie story together, or do you think it was more functional based on the game?
I think originally it was more functional.
Okay.
So the original Planeswalkers you had were Ajani... it was Ajani, Sorin, Garruk, Jace, and Chandra.
Man, I miss Garruk.
Yeah, I thought he was
There's
supposed
talk
to be
he
bad.
might be coming back.
And he was supposed to be the villain, right?
I mean, he would make sense in this, right?
He's not... He might be a villain in this. But the thing is, there was actually an article about why Garruk wasn't in War of the Spark. And it's because, unlike most other Planeswalkers, Garruk has a very specific aspect for him. He's a hunter. It doesn't make too much sense for him to be drawn to the beacon
Gotcha.
on Ravnica like everybody else, because he doesn't care.
Right.
He's out doing his own thing, hunting what he feels like he wants to hunt.
Yeah, this is stuff I don't even think about.
I know.
It's
I still want to go back to Andy. Keep talking about that card with the storybook.
Well,
and it's like, and that's what I'm saying. It's like Magic. I don't know if I've said this on the cast before, but it's like Magic is so many things for so many different people. Like one of my buddies I play with, shout out twitch.tv/doubtedbeef.
We don't do that here.
Oh, sorry. He's like, he's a commander guy. He buys the pre-generated decks or whatever. He doesn't have any interest in competitive Magic. For me, Magic has always been, you go to the card shop, you try to compete against other people to win the prizes. That's what it always has been. That's how I first started. You know what I mean? Like,
you kind of can't break that mentality.
yeah, because that's what it is. And like for other people, it's just not that. And this whole lore thing, I mean, I'm definitely a lore guy. Like I want to know like what this is, but I don't know where to start. I mean, and maybe it's past the point. That's why I'm thinking that with this Netflix show,
oh man,
this could be that missing link for me, where it's like, okay,
oh, this finally connects everything together.
Yes.
So what are you expecting from the Netflix show? I know we're kind of getting off on a lore tangent here, but we'll get back on here in a sec.
I don't know. I've never really been a fan of a lot of Netflix shows, and especially here, it's going to be difficult.
Oh yeah,
because you've got so many expectations for people. Are they going to try and bring in certain characters that they've established, or are they going to try and do their own thing?
Allegedly, they're trying to take it. They're doing the story of Dominaria.
Do you think the expectations will be high? Really? My expectations are low for this. Really? Honestly,
it depends. So look at the expectations for something like The Witcher show.
Oh man,
those expectations are huge.
Don't say it. Don't say it. Andy's going to replace you on the podcast. Don't say it.
Like I like The Witcher, but like, man,
he looks like a romance novel character.
He looks terrible, and Henry Cavill is just like too good looking. He's just
like I said though, you never know.
Yeah, I mean, people didn't like Heath Ledger as the Joker when they first announced it.
They actually though did have the Magic novel series.
Who are those people?
Yeah.
Let's find them.
So for the Magic novel series, their main character was Dak Faden. Who actually got killed.
Wasn't he like a robber or something like that?
No, so he...
See, that's how much I know.
Well, he was a bit of a thief. But his ability was he could touch an object and experience memories of those who had used the object.
Like Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of. Actually, if I remember correctly, Sorin Markov's blade that he used until the Eldritch Moon set... Mm-hmm. The Parasite Blade actually was brought to Innistrad by Dak Faden, or the person Dak Faden was chasing.
Gotcha.
But he actually died recently because he was killed in War of the Spark. In the War of the Spark trailer, the guy whose spark you see harvested, that actually was Dak Faden.
Oh. It was, wasn't it? I did see that. Actually, I did see a lore video on that.
One of the, 3 Planeswalker casualties?
Rest in peace, Gideon.
If you can... unless you want to count Bolas as a casualty.
Nah, I won't count him. So what we do have, though, before we do need to pick your brain on the next thing here, just a reminder to everyone listening and everyone watching, don't click the cat on Magic the Gathering Arena.
Why not, Al?
Because apparently you'll get banned for doing it. This is the state of the beta currently. If you do click the Mastery cat pet multiple times, it will crash games.
That's
okay, and that's all we got to say about that. All right, so we're moving on now. Well, let's as Andy was doing it, let's just talk lore for a sec. Andy, what is your favorite part of the lore?
So there's actually 2 sets of lore
Okay.
that I'll preface this with. So my favorite part of the lore is going to be in what's called post-mending. There's an entire pre-mending set of lore that they've tied it in a little bit, but it's generally considered not canon anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It was a much different setting in terms of planeswalkers and what they could do compared to the current set.
Right.
My favorite bit of lore definitely has to be New Phyrexia on Mirrodin, without a doubt.
So why?
So you had all these different angles. You had really 5 planeswalkers involved if you count Karn. So you had Tezzeret acting as Bolas's agent, who was attempting to accomplish some goal.
Mm-hmm.
But he was a Phyrexian lieutenant. He was under the Praetors directly. So he was a very high-ranking Phyrexian at that point. Then you have 3 planeswalkers opposed to him. You have Elspeth Tyrael, Koth of the Hammer, and Venser. So Koth is actually the only one of them who is a native to Mirrodin. Elspeth, we don't know which plane she's originally from, but it was a plane dominated by Phyrexians. So she actually met Koth, and Venser met up with the group on Dominara. Ajani had come to Dominara to talk to Elspeth after the events of Conflux, when Alara merged into a single plane.
There's so much. Like...
You lost me at there were 5, including Karn. I mean, it's like I don't know where to start with this, man.
Yeah.
Like, what are you reading to acquire this?
So I read the flavor text on pretty much every card I pull. That's part of it.
Daniel, your
Google?
mind's just blown right now.
Google is a very big help here. And other than that, like they've done previously, the episodic stories.
So, would you say Magic is your favorite game?
Unfortunately, no. Warhammer 40k has that.
All right.
Okay.
This podcast has ended. Everyone, thank you for coming to episode 5.
That's just what blows my mind, because you speak of it like, because I mean, I love Magic. I mean, I love it, and like I would consider it my favorite game, and I feel like I'm not even on that level of understanding it.
I know. I feel like I'm not doing the game justice.
Not at all, because I mean, of course, the R&D that goes into the actual mechanics of the game, that blows my mind in itself, and I look at that as art. But just the story that is woven here that I'm not even appreciating. And there's poor people. These people are like spending their whole lives developing
right,
this.
And damn, you're super trying to cheat out mana.
I know. I'm just like, man, I need Tron on turn 3.
I know. See, my favorite lore, I guess, character-wise, I love Liliana's story. And I love the existence of the Eldrazi, about how they exist in between the planes.
Yes.
I love that.
That actually has a name.
Didn't know that.
It's the Blind Eternities.
Oh, I knew that. I did know that. Ask me again. It's called Blind Eternities. What, Daniel?
Poser.
So, I want to come back to some lore stuff if we got time, because we could talk about this forever. But the big topic at hand is the combat phase. And Daniel, what's happening in combat for us in particular?
We're going to Richmond, Virginia.
What are we doing?
Dude, we're going to a team tournament.
Okay, so what else happening in Richmond?
SCG, 2-day event, Saturday, Sunday. It's going to be a 3v3 tournament. I mean, there's going to be standard, modern, and legacy.
Okay. What have we decided on?
We haven't really decided on anything yet. We've done a lot of testing. Our third's going to be George Fama. Shout out to Famous Comics. He more than likely is going to be running the legacy portion. Mm-hmm. I think we've kind of decided I'm going to be running the modern, and then Alan, you're going to be running the standard.
Yeah. So the only thing we've really kind of decided on, and Andy, you can try to help us. We're making a judgment call because we looked at the meta, and it's a lot of tempo, a lot of aggro. We're going Esper control standard.
Yeah, that Esper control tempo list. I mean, it is more kind of like a tempo, because like the Teferi on turn 3, I feel like that it's not really control, because you're just bouncing something. Yeah. You're just buying time.
That's the whole part of that deck. I feel like is you just need to buy time until you can do what you need to do.
More importantly, what that will do against a say, Simic Flash.
Mm-hmm. It stops the
Little
whole
Fury.
deck.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
They can no longer cast spells on your turn.
Yeah.
And they can't cast spells at instant speed.
Mhm.
So this is kind of the meta. It's Orzhov vampires. It's
Actually,
elementals.
I have it pulled up.
Okay.
Yeah, let me go and go to standard here because I had the modern pulled up.
Elementals. This dinosaurs deck, like that's a thing. And
Scape
the
Shift.
Boros Feather, and then the Scape Shift. So
Man, that's Scape Shift is crazy.
LSV, Louis Scott, man, he won with it. I mean, I was trying to build this on Arena today. I didn't have the mythic cards for the Scape Shifts, but
Biggest piece there, Field of the Dead.
yeah. So this
How
Field of-
crazy, man!
I mean, that was a card that just came and went for me as well. Looking through the cards, I'm like, okay. But this is almost like a bridge from below type esque, where it's just like generating.
Rest in peace.
Well, yeah, it's not with us anymore, is it? But no, it's just like a generator. Like, I mean, how many zombies can this thing poop out in a turn? I mean, it's crazy.
It makes you sick, dude.
I mean, I haven't encountered this yet on Arena.
I have, and it's hard.
So, what is this deck trying to accomplish?
Just flood the board with tutus.
Get as many lanes as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Play as soon as you draw a Field of the Dead, put it down. Then just start playing lands.
So-
Every land generates a 2/2
In
zombie,
Scape Shift, you sacrifice all your lands.
except for a Field of the Dead.
Yep, and then you pull them all out.
And importantly, if you Scape Shift and you pull a Field of the Dead in addition, they all enter simultaneously, so
Yeah.
you get 2 tokens per land.
So this to me feels like hate cards could just absolutely shut this down.
Yeah.
So
running a bunch of Cryo Carnariums, Kai's Wrath.
Field of Ruin.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
Because there's no real way for them to kind of bounce back. If you wipe their board 3 to 4 times, they run out of lane cards to bring in.
Yep.
I mean, that's really what it boils down to.
yeah, I don't. When I see this deck,
But-
this is like not my style
I
at all.
I mean-
I respect this because I mean, this is like next level. You know what this deck kind of reminds me of? It's kind of like Amulet Titan or like something like that. I know obviously it's like different, but it's like kind of that. You know, you're bouncing lands back to your hand. You're playing all these different kind of lands. I'm like, man, this is like super complicated. And I feel like if you don't have the right 7, the plan may fall through.
Right.
Maybe not for this, because let's look at it. So you've got Elvish Rejuvenator. Lets you, if I remember correctly, sack that's
It's
Pieces
an
Filter.
it's an
Yeah, it's enters
ETB
battlefield.
trigger.
Look at the top 5, and it
And
wants
then-
to put stuff in its graveyard.
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't.
But that one goes for that top 5 land onto the battlefield. There's the important thing for you,
Yeah.
because it lets you ramp the lands. You've got Arboreal Grazer again, play another land immediately. Growth Spiral, play another land.
So like when if you encounter this with Esper, like our build of Esper, like I mean this is like a full sideboard suite needs to be entered for this because I mean
Yes.
it's like a totally
Yeah,
off
you-
meta thing.
You have to run 4 Kai's Wrath, 3 Cry of the Carnarium. Like, you have to run everything.
Yeah, and it's just man, this is kind of tricky.
I mean, I've said it before, but I'll say it again. Against a land-based deck like this, though, you've got Thought Erasure.
Yeah. I mean, he's right.
Because you Thought Erasure
And
Field of the
duress.
Dead, and there goes their Field of the Dead.
Well,
they have
I mean,
no more in deck.
You can disrupt them multiple ways,
Yeah.
but
But there's a few ways you can deal with this. However, one thing that I can see that I think would help this deck would be to play a Mending of Dominaria, because it lets you put everything from your graveyard back in your library and do it all again.
I would be very bummed if that happened.
man, I haven't heard that card since like ever. I mean that's
Well,
like
you got plenty of options here. You could go with Loaming Shaman.
Mm-hmm.
Does the same thing, but it's a creature instead.
mhm.
But with the Mending, though, because on the first 2 ticks you get to mill cards and then pull a land out.
Do
That's
you,
just crazy.
do you think this is better than Esper though?
I think Esper is going to be more consistent.
That's what you need.
Because with this,
We're playing 9 rounds.
You're
And you need
reliant on getting Field of the Dead.
And honestly, I would argue also, I mean, even if we made this last second change and selected this deck, this would be a disservice to us because we have the experience with this certain archetype. We have the reps in with it. And I think in these big tournaments, if you go in with something that you understand fully, I think that's
You're
how
at
you
a
can
bigger
become more
advantage.
Yes,
successful.
that's what matters, because you've got to know how to play the deck. You've got to not miss triggers. You've
Right.
got to not misplayed.
And that happens with these static abilities of Planeswalkers. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty fairly easy to forget. I mean, you got little T out there, and
Yeah.
if they played something on your turn,
And someone's raising their hand saying judge.
yeah.
So, I mean,
And
I had
Andy's there.
a match where my opponent had a Narset on board, so I couldn't draw any additional cards. I played Risk Factor.
Oh, yeah, that's not
He
good.
took the 4 damage
Yeah, why not?
because
Oh, well, no, he's an idiot.
yeah.
Oh,
But-
he's good.
But that's the thing is there's so many abilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you've got this. He had a Teferi because he was playing Control.
I've
So
done it. I've done it before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was playing us for
Yeah.
Super Friends. So he had a big Teferi, a little Teferi, a Narset. There was just so much on board that it's easy to forget about a
Yeah.
static ability like that.
It's crazy, man.
And just talking about the Esper deck for a minute, I just got a couple notes written. Like, so there's Bolas Citadel is being put in these lists instead of Command the Dreadhorde. To me, this is bad. Like, you're having to rely on your top deck with the Citadel, and
Yeah.
with the Dreadhorde, all these triggers happen at the same time. Like, all those cards come out on the battlefield at the same time. Bolas Citadel, that's not happening.
Well, to me, the other problem with Bolas' Citadel is it's an artifact.
Yeah.
A lot more hate for that, right?
Yeah, because for Command the Dreadhorde, the only way to stop it is to counter it. But for an artifact, you can bounce it. You can. You've got so many destroy cards. You've got exile. You could Assassin's Trophy it.
Right. I don't understand that. Command the Dreadhorde has won a lot of games for me
Yes.
by itself.
Yeah. Yes.
That card is crazy, man.
Um,
It's so good, and it's just crazy how Esper's kind of backed away because counter spells are too expensive now and too slow. Like, really?
After rotation,
Yeah.
I think that will change. I think this Esper deck will be more of that. But so I just don't agree with this hero. I mean, I don't see how that is good. Like, in comparison to a board wipe, I just don't agree.
With Hero Precinct 1.
Yeah.
It's the defensive thing though. It's because let's look at the list. How many multicolored cards do you have?
Everything.
But other than, okay, so we just talked about a card that's going to try to flood the board, or a deck that's trying to flood the board, the Scape Shift deck. But like, I think about like Boros Feather. Like, that is dead. Like, that is, I mean, they're in the sky. Like, they're getting protection. I mean, this is like, that is a bad matchup. I mean, you have to sub out all the heroes, and I mean,
it's a hard pill to swallow to know you're about to go 0-1 immediately.
Yeah.
You know.
But the hero is also going to be your win condition, or one of your win conditions here, because it gives you an option. It gives you the ability to hit them. Because if you remove the hero, so you've got your guild mages and your hostage taker. And if you...
we're not running the hostage taker.
Yeah, but with this...
Daniel.
Like, yeah, we're not doing that because like I've tried to make that card work, and man, it does. But that bounce, like if it goes away, they're resummoning whatever it is that you've taken, and they're getting the ETB trigger again, and it's like it's just devastating.
Yeah.
And if you're like trying to capture a Risen Reef or something, I mean it's just like game, like
Yeah, and that's something that really depends. So I've had a few games where I was playing Simic. So my opponent at one point took an Incubation Druid. That's actually pretty good for them because it was an adapted Incubation
Yeah.
Druid. So even if I got it back, it doesn't have the counters on it anymore.
Right.
However, a different time they took one of my Biogenic Oozes. So all I did was bounce the Hostage Taker, get another Ooze token.
Yeah, it's just like, man, but like when you cast Hostage Taker, you very rarely have the mana to cast whatever it is
Immediately.
you stole,
Yeah.
and then it has to survive a turn,
Yeah.
Yep.
and that's tough.
Really, hostage taker off curve is better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be really.
But then you're playing a 2/3 for 4 mana.
Yeah.
So
I don't love it.
You know,
it's hit and miss, definitely.
yeah, we've talked about this, but we are deciding between. Have we narrowed it down to 2 decks in standard or modern now,
Yeah, I mean, so we did a lot of.
or is it still 3? Because we're still thinking Hogak.
It's possible. So the issue with Hogak is all the hate that's going to be out there because the meta is like going to look at this and like, I mean, see like, you know, players are going to see like, oh my gosh, all my favorite players are playing this at Mythic Championship. I want to play it too or whatever. It's like, I don't know. Like, if everybody's playing that, it becomes terrible.
Okay, so this is the Mythic Championship that's going on this weekend. 98 people, 21.4% of people brought Hogak. And that's not including the Dredge Hogak.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot, man. I mean, I think at one time, is it Phoenix was kind of like that, where it was just like everybody was playing it,
Yeah.
and then it kind of started sliding. I think that happens. It's like everybody starts playing it, and then everybody starts accounting for it, and then it just starts taking a back seat.
Right.
Yeah.
So the decks we're deciding between is actually, Hogak, Is It Phoenix, and Burn.
Mm-hmm.
Simply Burn.
Yeah, man, you definitely did really well with the Burn. I mean, it's one of those decks. It's kind of like Mono Red. It's like, man,
When it goes, it goes.
and when it doesn't, you're just sitting there, just wishing for a top deck to
Yeah.
get that last 3 damage in.
Because that's the thing. Is It Phoenix has so many different ways to win. So one way we're going to talk about is Phoenix, but the other way is the card of the cast, which is the card we talked about last week and the card we undermined. And that's Aria Flame. So what does this do? Enters the battlefield, each opponent gains 10 life, and whenever we cast an instant or a sorcery spell, put a verse counter on Aria Flame. Then it deals damage equal to the number of verse counters to target player or planeswalker.
Mm-hmm.
This handles blue-white control. This handles about everything.
Yeah, I was playing somebody on Azorius Control at the shop, and like they didn't even like try to take care of that, and I'm like, man, this thing is
It gets out of hand quick.
for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, how many win conditions does this deck have? I mean, it's got this. It's got a burn element. It's got Thing in the Ice. I mean,
Phoenix.
Phoenix combo. I mean, you're hard pressed to find another deck that has that many win conditions.
So, yeah, Daniel and I, we were playtesting, and during one of our playtests, I had 2 Aria Flames out, and it got nasty quick.
I mean, it doesn't matter if your opponent's 40, 50 life. I mean, if you're putting your opponent that high life and you're still winning, I mean, you've got something special.
Yeah.
Yeah. All you need is, even if you're not actually dealing damage to your opponent, 4 spells. 4 instants and sorceries, and that 10 life is gone.
So before this came out, they were running Pyromancer's Ascension, or Pyromancer Ascension. So this is very conditional to me, where it's like, okay, something already has to be in the graveyard to get what it's trying to accomplish. So this, to me, I mean, this is happening on the cast. It doesn't matter if it's countered.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
going to say. Even if it's countered, it still hurts.
Yeah.
You have no fear with this thing.
So what about running Pyromancer Ascension and this?
I wouldn't, because you need the additional.
Yeah, it's an
It's just
enchantment.
the slots.
Pyromancer Ascension.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were trying to run season to the
Oh
damage.
no, this
Yeah.
is like a sideboard card
Okay.
against like maybe humans or something trying to flood the board. Pyromancer Ascension is like I think it's an enchantment.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
2 mana enchantment.
So I'm trying to pull it up.
Yeah, so like
Yeah, whenever you cast an instant or a sorcery spell that has the same name as a card in your graveyard, you may put a quest counter on Pyromancer Ascension. When you cast an instant or sorcery spell with Pyromancer Ascension that has 2 or more quest counters on it, you may copy that spell. You may choose new targets.
so this is kind of like, okay, so we have the new finale of what's it, the red finale.
Promise.
Oh, yeah.
Promise. So this is like this is like a partly that and partly Aria Flame. Like that's what Pyromancer Ascension looks like to me.
So my problem with Pyromancer Ascension compared to Aria Flame, first off, it requires that card in the graveyard with
Correct.
the same name. But more importantly, you only get to copy the target one. You copy the spell once.
Mm-hmm.
So for early casts with Aria Flame, it's going to be better to have Pyromancer's Ascension.
Right.
But once Aria Flame gets 4 or 5 counters on it, I'm going to cast a Lightning Bolt. Well, if that's counter number 5, you're taking 8 damage.
Yeah.
If I'm playing a Pyromancer's Ascension, that's only 6.
And I look at it like, okay, would you rather have a turn 2 Thing in the Ice or a turn 2 Pyromancer Ascension? And I feel like
The Thing in the
you
Ice.
want the Thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it
And-
just seems way better. It's more of a threat.
Plus, it's an easy target for them to waste something on.
And the other thing
Good
here
point.
for Pyromancer Ascension versus Aria Flame is the Aria of Flame, if I cast a draw spell, you're still taking damage.
Yeah, any cantrip.
With Pyromancer's Ascension, I'm going to get to draw again, but you're not taking any damage.
Right.
Yeah, it's even like when your cantrips are like popping them for 5-6 damage. It's like, this is awesome.
Yeah. It's like, I'm going to opt, take 7.
Yeah.
I'm going to opt, take 8.
GG.
So the legacy portion now is we're thinking about elves, miracles, or sneak and show, and we don't know yet, just because sneak and show is so good, but miracles is our more consistent one.
And I mean, I'm not really experienced in legacy, but like the Delver decks, I mean, I can kind of wrap my head around those. I mean, those look pretty good. I mean, they almost look like a Phoenix build. You know what I mean? Like that kind of combo off, kind of half. It almost looks kind of like control a little bit.
Mm-hmm. See, that's what miracles is. I mean, miracles is control. But what George is afraid of is if he runs sneak and show, if it doesn't go off, his game's going to be over in 2 seconds, and if he wins, his game's going to be over in 2 seconds if he gets his combo.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that deck?
No, I'm not very familiar with Legacy simply because
It's just not played.
it's a different it's a different style. So with standard and modern are different styles as well, because standard you play longer games usually, and it's
Usually, yeah.
Higher cost cards are usually more viable in standard than they are in modern. But Legacy is just such a different beast compared to any of the other formats.
I was reading like an article about like staples and formats and how like formats kind of warp around like 1 or 2 cards, and like modern specifically is all about faithless looting.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's like
if a deck plays red, it's probably going to have faithless looting in the deck.
And then in Legacy, it's like Ponder,
Force of Will,
and Force of Will. Like everything's like warped around those cards.
It's weird. Like you have your powerful cards,
Mm-hmm.
like that just kind of define the meta.
Well,
really.
I mean,
and Brainstorm.
Yeah.
I should have said Brainstorm instead of Ponder.
They're strong cards.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we can.
So this is kind of where we're having to lean on George, I feel like, because
Yeah.
I mean, we can basically, we could say George has a lot of experience, and I mean, he is pretty. I mean, he was pretty smooth as far as like when we were running some of those
Mm-hmm.
test games.
But it's gonna be totally different when we get there.
No, I know
Yeah.
it is, because like the guys running the Legacy, man, I feel like they're going to be tough.
I mean, my advice would just be play consistency.
Yeah.
If you've got a deck that consistently wins, go for it.
You think a Legacy crowd will ever develop at our local game store?
I don't know. I think one of the biggest barriers to people playing Legacy is just the price.
It is. Legacy is expensive.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're looking at a list right now. It's almost $2,000.
But that's
Yeah.
a modern deck, which is crazy.
Well, I know, but like, I mean, what we're looking at
Well,
here.
it depends on your. It depends. Some modern decks are way cheaper.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is I just think for a lot of people it's just so expensive
Mm-hmm.
that maybe casually you'll see it with people playing proxies, but
Yeah,
I
but
don't
once you
think
actually get
there's
into
gonna be
the tournaments and stuff, it's people that have the money or people that are sponsored, stuff like that.
I can honestly say I've never played a competitive game of Legacy.
Well, 3v3. You're part of the team, man.
Well, I'm not playing it. I mean, I'm just kind of
there. Okay, so our second main phase now. Woo! Woo! Second main phase, name of the podcast. One thing I do want to touch on before I let Daniel kind of go off about some of the financing.
barely go off.
Barely. Okay, so we kind of talked about it before. Has Magic the Gathering Arena put the training wheels on our brains and made us worse at Magic?
I don't know how many times I've heard people say that at the card shop. It's like, oh, Arena's spoiling me. I'm like, oh man, is it really getting that bad?
Like Andy said,
It is.
I miss static abilities on Planeswalkers. Miss tapping my mana. I mean, I do dumb stuff now because I'm so used to auto tapping. I'm so used to game highlighting my card at the bottom, telling me when I can and can't play it. Like,
the amount of missed triggers that happened because people are used to it happening automatically. It's huge.
I'll be the first one to tell you I'm an idiot when it comes to this stuff, man. I miss a lot of stuff. So how about you, Daniel? Do you feel like you're missing more? Or do you feel like it's...
I still think Arena is positive for me because I'm getting more reps in. Like, I mean, it can't necessarily be a bad thing because you're playing more Magic. You're seeing more decks. You're seeing more interaction. I mean, I totally agree. It is negative in that respect, and there's still part of me that's concerned that it's going to hurt paper Magic. What is your opinion on that?
I think it's really going to depend on the direction that Wizards chooses to go with Arena. So
they seem like they're all in with Arena, man.
Oh yeah.
They're all in.
That's their baby right now,
if
dude.
If they make it more of a companion to paper Magic,
no
where the two support each other, rather than attempting to put a lot more into Arena,
right?
Then it could work really well because that means that I'll go to the card shop, I'll buy a pack of cards, then I'll enter a code, I'll get a pack of cards on Arena.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because then it will support local game store and
their product
and Arena, because that also means that on those days when I can't get to the shop and I can't play, I still have a way to play and still have the paper Magic option without having to pick and choose which one I want to invest in.
So speaking of investing, Daniel, and you're off. What happened with Magic? They have their Q2 results.
Well, so first off, I want to ask, is Magic bigger than we think it is? Like, to me, I feel like it's like a niche game that, some people know about, and we kind of talk about these ways that it's going to potentially make it into the mainstream. This article that Alan's looking at, he showed me this, talking about Hasbro. So I don't know when Hasbro acquired this.
Oh, it was a few years ago.
Okay, so, according to this, man, this is like their bread and butter.
Yeah, they told them to double the size of their team.
Yeah, so this is something where, especially at colleges, you'll talk to somebody that's like, yeah, I played Magic, and they're like, oh yeah, I used to play that.
Mm-hmm.
Talking,
it was big in the Scouts too, right?
My troop, not necessarily, but my troop is a different kind of setting because it's a much more outdoor setting. But in high school, there were quite a few people that had played at some point or did still play occasionally.
Right.
So it's one of those things where there's a lot of people that are familiar with it. So they may see something cool and they'll be like, oh, okay, I really like that. I think I'm going to buy a pack here. I'm going to buy a pack there.
So I always kind of equate it to D&D. It's like, do you think more people have heard of D&D or Magic? I would say D&D.
Dungeons and Dragons.
I would say D&D, but in terms of people who have actually played it, Magic by far.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
Yeah, I just think Magic kind of transcends that. Because I have kind of a background playing poker, and a lot of poker pros have kind of made that transition into playing Magic. I mean, there's different type of outlets. I mean, I consider myself a nerd, but this Magic is I don't know. I don't see it as a nerdy thing.
Yeah, well, it's because we play it.
That's true. It's just
Walmart carries booster packs.
Yeah, I mean, it's right there next to the baseball Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire or whatever.
Yeah, so
Mark McGwire, dude.
So
Mark McGrath,
that's the thing,
Sugar Ray, baseball cards.
It's sold way more than just at game stores. Like Barnes & Noble, they sell booster packs.
Mm-hmm.
Books A Million sells booster packs. So it's much more than just this small community now because of it's sold pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, so I was kind of looking at some of the card price surges. In 2018, if you look at alpha and beta cards, even uncommons, I was just looking at random stuff like Unholy Strength. This is just a common.
It's been reprinted
a million times.
Yeah.
You look at the price of that, it surges from $1 or $2 to $30. Okay, why did this happen? Was it Arena? Did we just get an influx of just all these older, not older people, these people that played in the past, brought back into the game from Arena?
Okay, so I was a recovering Magic addict, and then Arena came out, and then my buddy called me that had a fix, and that was Daniel. So Daniel called and said, hey, you want to come to J Tiger? Without even hesitating. Yeah, I need to borrow a deck. Because I don't have a collection. I don't have a standard collection. I just got Legacy Modern. I need a deck, man. And it was off from there,
So what, I mean,
and then I was asleep on the couch.
Well, think about it. Not only did we have Arena, but we had Dominaria.
and that was
one
just
of those huge selling sets.
and that I had that in my notes. It's like, you know, Dominaria was that the reason why so many people came back. I just think it's just very interesting that, I mean, cards like that, it's just already surging. And then this is what's got me intrigued with the Netflix special. You know, Hasbro doubling the R&D team or the production team or whatever. I mean, is Magic going to get so big to the point where our older cards, are they going to be worth even more?
I mean, they definitely could. Like you were saying, look at the price jumps for alpha and beta cards. And let's look 10 years forward. How much is a Teferi Hero of Dominaria going to go for?
I don't know.
I have 4 of them.
It's that actually Teferi has fallen, I think, down to $35 now, which
With rotation coming.
Yeah, so
But
that's what that is.
It's going to get to the point where it's going to be one of those collector cards.
Mm-hmm.
Or
it's going to be a Jace. It's going to be like, you know what I mean?
or let's look at something that we look at a card that gets reprinted. Could be any card. Let's say Dovin's Veto gets reprinted as we return to Ravnica for the 8th time.
Yeah.
The Dovin's Vetoes from Spark are going to go way up in price because they're standard legal again, and it's the older set.
And then that nostalgia starts kicking in.
Yeah, look at Bloodstained Mire. There's a price difference based on which Bloodstained Mire you have, which set it's from.
Well, the original printing, I think, is always higher price, right?
Yeah, and so that's how it goes. Anytime something gets reprinted,
well, Leyline of the Void, and that's the card that comes to my mind instantly.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like that was a reprint that was for a need. I mean, that was Wizards basically saying, so many graveyard decks running around, we can't be having people spending $40 on this, which was in a core set in M11. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So one thing that we were talking about that you didn't know, and I didn't know either till you told me, was the amount of R&D it takes to produce a set. Was it 2 years?
It was War of the Spark was since 2016. Like, I mean, and just came out
2019.
2019. I mean, it's like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, is that surprising to you?
A little bit, yeah.
I mean, that much time, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can see maybe if you nailed down the story first and then tried to flesh the story out and then started making the cards. But I have a feeling that sometimes the cards would have to come with the story.
Right.
Because, like, equating it to like a video game situation, what's the turnaround time on a video, like a sequel? So say they have an engine developed. Like,
I would say 9 months, maybe.
No, 9 months is more of that's like an expansion.
Okay.
If you're looking at doing,
no, he's talking about a sequel, but the engine's already built.
So like a God of War 2. Like, I'm just thinking, because I mean, God of War sold gangbusters. Obviously, people want more. How long is that turnaround for that? I mean, are those teams bigger than the Magic teams? I mean, to me, that's just baffling to me. You're talking about programming. You're talking about coding. You're talking about sound effects. You're talking about mocap, like mocapture. Yeah. I mean, like, you're printing words on cardboard.
But you still got graphic design.
True. And I mean, and how is Seb McKinnon painting all this art? Like, do they just have like...
shout out to Seb McKinnon if you're listening to this.
Dude, we love it. Like, so like, do they just have prints like backlogged? Like, okay, this is going to fit in this set?
No, I would imagine that it's...
Or is he just chained up in a basement somewhere and they've just got like a paintbrush?
Yeah. Paint!
Yes!
Well, I mean, I don't imagine you'd have pre-done art. I'd imagine what they would do is they'd say, all right, here's the flavor we're looking for this.
Yeah.
And then you'd start getting art that you can then start making into cards.
Gotcha. That makes sense. It's just, yeah, that's crazy.
But I mean,
3
when
years.
You compare it to a video game, you've also got all the playtesting that you've got to do. You've got to make sure everything is balanced, or hope it's balanced.
And that's where banning comes into play.
Oh, yeah.
So, Andy, I mean, we always try to keep the show around about an hour, and plus we have to do some Modern here in 30 minutes out of Jay Tiger. I mean, Andy, thank you so much for coming on.
Great to be here.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you did great, man. You killed it.
But really, I would love to have you on for, strictly a draft episode at some point. And maybe even, we can even maybe do like an extra episode where we just have Andy talk lore.
Man, that would be cool. Like a mock draft. Like we open up a pack and you talk us through like what's your mindset on this. Like
I'm totally fine having him over for an arena draft one day.
that'd be sweet.
Yeah. So Andy, granted, we're inviting you over. So if you want to come over, you're more than welcome to.
We'll talk about it after the show then.
Okay. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. We appreciate you like always, and thank you.